Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is You Nations Have a Lot to Pay For. Right? And ultimately, these devils, have done wrong to the nation of Israel, all 12 tribes. Right? And the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is coming back, right, to render vengeance unto the heathen nations, right, and to put them into captivity, right, under the Israelites. This is Isaiah 34 in verse 8. It says, "For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, in the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion." All right. If you get up, because at the point I wanted, but if you get up here, it goes into the fact of what he's about to do. Isaiah 34 and 1, it says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord, Yahweh Bashmiah, shall upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he hath delivered them to the slaughter." Right, through the Spirit, this has already taken place. Right, the words of the Lord, they don't go out void. All right, so but it's going to be accomplished here in real time in the near future. All right, so why is he doing that? You jump down to verse 8. It says, "For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompenses," right, "for the controversy of Zion." So it's payback for the things done to the Israelites. NLT says, "For it is the day of the Lord's revenge, the year when Edom will be paid back for all it did to Israel." Right, Edom first and foremost, right? And the Edomites are the self-proclaimed white people today, right? Because the Most High um, have nations listed in the scriptures, right? And those nations listed in the scriptures are the people that's on planet Earth today, right? You won't find China and or Chinese in the scriptures, or American, European, and things like that. Right? These are names that were given to themselves, wherever the case may be. Even we, who they call African American, or black, or whatever the case may be. We're the actual Israelites, you know. And you get that in Psalms 83. It lists nations, and I might get that, but right now, controversy. What does the word controversy mean? So let's see what they got here. So controversy. So we're gonna just get it with dispute, right? A dispute. All right, dispute. So we get over here, controversy on Google. It said the controversy is a prolonged public dispute, debate, or strong disagreement involving opposing views. And if you look at it around the world, really and truly, these Edomites are saying that they are us, you know, but we are the Israelites, right? So it's a dispute, right? Who are the people? Who is the Lord coming back to, revenge and protect? All right. So adjective form, it says describing something or someone that causes a dispute. Synonym says argument, debate, dispute, disagreement, or quarrel. A picking. What's a quarrel? This is a good, the Most High got a bone to pick with you. It says a heated argument or disagreement, typically about a trivial issue, and between people who are usually on good terms. The Most High is not on good terms with you, devil, as you're about to see in this lesson here. Right, and the rest of you heathen. So it says strong feelings. It involves deep disagreement, anger, or strong opinions. The scriptures say the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. Right? Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and that's these Edomites. So he's angry with them every day. So getting some of these crimes, right? That these nations have a lot to pay for. And I said I was going to get to Psalms 83. So we'll just start with that because it lists the nations. The nations. Okay. So Psalms 83 and 1, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace and be not still, O Yahweh, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. All right. It says they have said, come, let us cut all them. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Yeah, so this is one of the crimes that they committed. All nations came together and committed this crime. You know, the elites of these nations wanted us to forget who we were as a people. T says, come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence. All right, back over here it says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. All right, so they're against thee. Let's get this word confederate. It says it's a covenant, alliance, pledge, a treaty, agreement, constitution. Right, so they have a covenant, or they had it because it's been broken. The dark images that Russia showed and Iran was, saying that they're oppressing us and showing the Lego videos and things like that. Then it says it lists the nations, the tabernacles of Edom, self-proclaimed white men, the Ishmaelites, the Arabs. It says of Moab, which is the Chinese, of the Hagarenes, right, which is um, another form of like the Arab nations because you have like a many of them. You got like UAE, Saudi, Qatar, then you got Yemen, right, Lebanon, you got Palestinians, and all of that. So it's like a mix. You got Elam, you know, or Elam, the Indians, you know. So that's what Hagarenes is going into, which is a son of Hagar, right? Which the Ishmaelites are also a son of Hagar, right? So as you can see, they're kind of together, but they're different, right? Just like the Israelites have 12 tribes, but we're all the same, but it's just 12 houses. It says Jabal and Ammon. Ammon is Japanese, all right? Not too sure what Jabal, we can get it. See, we just search it up here. So it says a region in Idumea, right, which is the land of Edom. Okay, it says yeah, a region inhabited by the Edomites. So I have to look into this more because this would be the third time Edom is mentioned you know, in this verse here. So that's interesting. Chop it up with brothers, and go into that a little bit more, that Gabel there. Because you have Amalek, which is Edomites, you have the Edom, which is Edomites, now you have Gabel, which would be Edomites again, but we'll have to see. So Ammon is the Japanese, Amalek again is the Edomites, but this is the or the cosplayers over there in the land of Israel. Those are Amalek, right? And they pertain to be us. And then you have the Edomites. Edom here is like the Edomite Europeans, right? The ones here in America, right? The ones over there in Europe. The Philistines, which this will go into, what is it? Ham, Africa, and whatnot. With the inhabitants of Tyre, right? And I believe Tyre is Ham too, all right? Or the Africans. Yeah, Tyre is like Africa because of that area of Palestine, we took that land from the Africans, right? Which are the Hamites. that land was promised to us, and when we took it, the African people, like this dude right here, they inhabited it. And they inhabited that land. We took it from them. Right, those are like our arch enemies. But really, it's like Esau too. But we was really warring a lot with the Philistines and whatnot. You know, later down the line, we war with Esau a lot. You know, so it says Ashur. Let's see what Ashur got. So the people of Assyria. I would say that's like the Syrians is like like the Hawaiian people type, you know, like Japhet, you know, those type Hawaiian looking people. All right. Well, it says here the second son of Shem. But I know if you get to the Assyrians, that will have to be Japhet. So they probably got something that's not supposed to be here over here. This blue letter goes off. All right, but it's a good tool to use. So Ashur also is wrong with them. They have opened the children of Lot. Selah. Okay, let's see what Lot's talking about. Because I know, okay, right. So, okay, it's saying Lot is Lot here, which Lot is coming back as the Israelite and the kingdom. I believe it was Lot, right? His daughters laid down with him, and that's how you got the Japanese and the Chinese and whatnot, right? So those children are like the Japanese and Chinese and whatnot. And that was the Moab and Ammon, right? But Lot himself was good, you know. So these are the nations, that came together, the top elites of these nations to come against us, right? So this is the crime that they committed. And we keep moving on here. I got a bunch of crimes, right? They got a lot to pay for, as the title says. This is First Maccabees 2, and let's get it from 7. They took over our temple and our land. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 7, it says, He said, Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, in the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is becoming as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away to captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. See, so these are things that these nations have done to us. Right? What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten the first spoil? See, so all nations had a part in our downfall. All her ornaments are taken away of a free woman. She has become a monster. Yeah, you got like a lot of our paintings and dark images and different things, gold and all around the world, in museums and things, and people's secret, you know, chests, things like that. It says, and behold, oh, Slakia, yeah, all her ornaments are taken away of a free woman. She has become a bond slave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. Right, and these devils have that land over there now, profaning it. You have LGBTQ community and all of that, the swine, and just a lot of death, all of that. Even when King David tried to build the sanctuary, the temple, the Most High told him no because he had a lot of blood on his hands. And these devils are committing the genocides all around the world, taking all type of land, doing all type of whatever. And then at the same time, talking about the third temple, the Most High won't allow them to build shit, because they're just maniacs, all right, with a lot of money on their hands, all right. But the third temple is weak, the Israelites. The third temple is being built right now, right, which is a spiritual temple, all right. So this crime, stealing all our stuff, even us, First Maccabees 3:48. Just getting to the point, it says, and lay open the book of the law, wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images. Right, this is the crime. The heathen painted the likeness of their images in our book when the book wasn't given to them. And what does scripture say? Take. I'm gonna find it. Bear with me real quick. If I can find it. But the word was not given to them. So let me get this real quick. They lay open the book of the law, and it wasn't even given to them. Psalms 147:19, it says, He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise the Lord Yahweh Bashman Washah. But they took our book. I was going to get another scripture. Job 9:24. Job 9:24 says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So covering the face of the judges is a crime. That they painted their likeness and over our images. Even today they make movies and they put themselves as the roles of the people, when it really was us. That's not historically accurate, right? It's all lies, fiction. This movie was based off historical events. No, because you got it wrong. All right, they're painting their likeness on our images. They don't, what they got Alexander the Great. That's a guy right there for them. And different people that was out there, but they hardly talk about their own people. They talk about our people. King David, and things like that. Abraham, Yahweh Shai, our father, all of that. So again, another crime, it says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So that's a crime. All right, so I already had this. We're gonna keep moving. Ezekiel 36. And 1, it says, also thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashmel Shai. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. So they stole our land. And the Most High is going to destroy these people for that, right? It says, therefore prophesy and say, thus said the Lord Yahweh, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up in the lips of talkers and are infamy the people. All right. NLT says, therefore, son of man, give the mountains of Israel this message from the sovereign Lord. Your enemies have attacked you from all directions, making you the property of many nations and the object of much mocking and slander. Because all hell is breaking loose over there because of the current devils in that land. People talk about Yahweh, talking about the Israelites, talking about the land, and all of this because these people got a bad name over there on it. It says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, to the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys and to the desolate waste. into the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Yeah, so the heathen all over there in our land, which, it's a lot of them, you know, that whole area, the whole greater Israel project they're fighting for, which is promised to us. But the whole earth is promised to us, we're going to rule it, you know. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, right, which have appointed my land into their possession. So here it says Idumea, Edom, have appointed my land into their possession. And right now, who is in charge of, trying to do that greater Israel? The Edomites, right? The house of Amalek, right? Which are those people in that land right now, trying to get more land. It says, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So Edom is here today. Edom is not gone. Edom has taken our land, and the Edomites are in our land right now as we speak. Ezekiel 36:5 NLT says, this is what the sovereign Lord says, my jealous anger burns against these nations, especially Edom, because they have sown utter contempt for me by gleefully taking my land for themselves as plunder. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus said the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, I have lifted up mine hand, surely the heathen that are round about you, they shall bear their shame. Right? NLT says what? Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says, I have taken a solemn oath that those nations will soon have their own shame to endure. That's the point. You're gonna pay for that. You gleefully took our land, polluted it, got people mocking about it and talking about it, and all of this. So the Most High is going to turn it on you. And that's what's happening right now, right? And now people are even saying that, the Israelites. That one chick, she kind of pissed me off. Kim Iverson, she was talking about, she was saying that the Amalekites are not the Israelites, but then she was trying to say that the Palestinians have more of a closer, heritage to being the actual Jews or something. Which we will all be Shem. Anyway, we all kind of she just pissed me off. She just pissed me off, because she didn't say it was us, the Israelites. She was saying that it's the Palestinians, but she definitely said it wasn't the Amalekites. And I seen a brother he did a video on that. I'm gonna check out his video and see what he had to say about that. So yeah, they're gonna pay for that. All right. So that's another crime. We got Joel 3:1. It says, for behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. So when the Most High is bringing us back as a people, as a nation, which he's doing right now, pursuant to Ezekiel 37, right? The Israelites have awoken to who they are. All right. This is a spiritual thing. At one point we didn't know, and now we do know. We the only people that did that in the whole world. And we also doing everything else, prophesying to the nations, right? Going out on the corners, teaching, setting up videos on YouTube and all these different things, right? Those people in our land right now have a book, Talmud, is fucking filthy and disgusting. A whole manner of abominations and wicked writings about what you can do to little children, right? So on and so forth. A mindset is backward. They go have sex with other women that that's not a part of their nations, and then the children, they sacrifice the children because they believe that the sons that come out of their nutsack and they put into that woman don't belong to them. And you can see why they all come out looking all discombobulated, like wild beasts and shit. It's like in the cycle of them having children, torturing their own children because they think it's not their children, and then the children coming back when they actually, when they go have sex with, let's say, their wife. You just bringing back the same seed, right? The same spirit. So they just, they got a lot going on. But anyway, Joel 3 and 2 says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, right, which is the lowest judgment, which is the so-called Middle East, right, which is Asia. The whole thing over there is Asia. That would be like what, West Asia, that Levant region over there near our land where they're fighting over right now. The Lord said he will bring all nations over there. And that's what's happening. It says, and he will plead with them there for my people, right? And for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So he's going to plead for his people and his heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, because we're scattered everywhere. You can look like anybody and be an Israelite. This word resonates with you, right? And you feel it, any way, shape, or form, then you're most likely an Israelite. Okay. Or you could be a 2/3. You could hate this, and you could hate this word and still be an Israelite, because you could just be a 2/3 that the Most High is not fucking with. So we'll all see, in the end, what is what. There's some people that's like that too. You could like an Edomite, and then you hate this word, and then at the same time you're just a 2/3, and the Most High hate you. But you'll come back in the kingdom righteous, through the act of sex, right? Which the kingdom is going to be on earth, right? New Jerusalem coming down from heaven. What is it? Revelation, I believe, 21. So they parted the land. That's what they're doing right now. So the Lord is coming back to plead with them for us. Verse 3 says, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink, going into slavery. All right. So that's another crime. You get this Isaiah 66 real quick, because how is the Lord going to plead? It says Isaiah 66 and 15 says, for behold, make sure this is still good over here. Usually you can look at this little red dot and it goes beyond, and you will know, but because it'll turn off if it turns off. But anyway, Isaiah 66 and 15 says, for behold, the Lord Yahweh Bashmi will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh Bashmi plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So the Lord, when he says plead, he's not coming to have a conversation with you. Okay? Let's see what this word plead here is talking about. Right? There'll be no talking. He says he's not going to meet you as a man. He's vindicate, punish, to judge. You don't think no talking is going to be happening. So another crime that your nation's got to pay for. Was it Jeremiah? I'll grab this. Jeremiah 50 and 33 says, thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashmi of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go. Again, slavery, and even now, I know the elder apostle said sometimes that we all packed up and left and like went to like Australia or something. These devils will follow us over there. They refused to let them go. It says their Redeemer is strong. The Lord Yahweh Bashmi of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Yeah, NLT says, but the one who redeems them is strong. His name is the Lord, right? Which his name is Yahweh of heaven's armies, right? He will defend them and give them rest again in Israel. So we're gonna be go back to our land, right? It says, but for the people of Babylon, there will be no rest. Yeah, everyone in Babylon, you might as well pack this shit up and leave and go to a different country or something, because this place here, Babylon, will be destroyed with nuclear missiles. All right. But even then, every nation in the whole world is going to be put under subjection to the Israelites. Right. You're all going into captivity, and you're all going to pay for the things that you did to us, starting with Esau, Edom, right? And he's going to get it so bad after 1,000 years of slavery, he's going to be burnt up, done away with, pursuant to Obadiah 1 and 18, right? Edomites as a nation of people, will no longer exist, right, in the whole universe, right? Um, we don't know, if they might come back as another people, because those are still spirits, right? That's not written. It's not what happens to the spirit, because the spirit goes back to the Father. So we'll have to see about that too. But the Edomites as a nation of people, they're going to be done away with forever, you know. So this is Ezekiel. So that's another crown. They took us and held us. This is Ezekiel 21 and 16 says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Right? It says in NLT, kidnappers must be put to death whether they are caught in possession of their victims or have already sold them as slaves. So all y'all are guilty, but and y'all all will be held accountable when the Lord comes back. Let me grab this one real quick. Revelations 11. It's also going to slavery right here. Revelations 11 and 7, it says, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that sinneth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. All right, so it's going into captivity, slavery, right? It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord Yahweh was crucified. Right, so they X'd out the Lord here. Right, this is talking about America here. Right, and this is when we went into slavery. Right, and why were we dead? Because we didn't know who we were. They beat it out of us. Right, that was another crime they committed. All right. Right, so now we woke up, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, 350-year period, right? Which that ended around what, 1969, 1970. But even up until this point now, because around that time was when we got the breath back into us, right? The understanding of who we are. Our dead bodies were no longer dead, but no one told us who we were. That's what it's saying here. It says, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer the dead bodies to be put into graves. And they that live on the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. Yeah, because we popping. We what we want, we take it. We have our power with us. Anybody in our way, we do damage. That's what we do. All right, we the Israelites. All right, but now we the Israelites are bringing peace to earth now. That time period is no longer there. We'll have to see what happens, but it won't be no war or anything like that no more. People still have to get punished for the things that they do, but no one will need to fight anymore, and we won't need to fight y'all no more. Because everything is going to be in order. Yeah, it says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them. They stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And that's what's happening right now, right? Because they know what comes next. The punishment for all the things that they got to pay for. This is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 21. It says, be of good cheer, O my children, cry unto the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and he will deliver you from the power and the hand of the enemies. For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting our Savior. For I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but Yahweh Bashem Yahushai will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. So we're going to go back to our land. It says, like forever, right? It says, like as now the neighbors of Sion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from our power, which shall come upon you a great glory and brightness of everlasting. So that great deliverance that's about to happen. It says, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from Yahweh, for thine enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. All right, so that's where we're at. A little bit more. Verse 26 here says, my delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. For as it was your mind to go astray from Yahweh, so being returned, seeking 10 times more. That's what we're doing. And crying out, you know. It says, for he that have brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, right? Going back to that, what, Ezekiel 36, aha, even the high ancient places are ours in possession, right? It says, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. Right? And that's what's happening right now. All hell is breaking all around the world. Uproar of people, earthquakes, right? Protests, El Ninos, shit, Europe is damn near melting away already. Hunger, shortages of fuel, which the world has built up the societies to run on this thing, so now you ain't got it, right? Can't trade fertilizer, you know. It says, for fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. Yeah, talking about America. America will be completely destroyed. All right. It says, O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from Yahweh Bashman. Lo, thy sons come, whom thou sentest away. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of Yahweh Bashman. Right, and that's what we're doing right now. We're gathering the hopeful elect through this word. All right, so, and you nations got a lot to pay for. All right, so Lord willing, you edify from this lesson. Shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.